Alexey Alexandrovich unfolded the rug in which his frozen feet were wrapped, and getting out of his carriage made his way over the snow to Darya Alexandrovna. "Why, Alexey Alexandrovich, what are you cutting us like this for?" said Dolly, smiling. "I was very busy." "Delighted to see you," he said in a tone clearly indicating that he was annoyed by it. "How are you?" "Tell me, how is my darling Anna?" Alexey Alexandrovich mumbled something and would have gone on. But Stepan Arkadyevitch stopped him. "I tell you what we'll do tomorrow. Dolly, ask him to dinner. We'll ask Koznishev and Pestov, so as to entertain him with our Moscow celebrities." "Yes, please, do come," said Dolly. "We will expect you at 5 or 6 o'clock, if you like." "How is my darling Anna?" "How long?" "She is quite well," Alexey Alexandrovich mumbled, frowning. "Delighted." And he moved away towards his carriage. "You will come?" Dolly called after him. Alexey Alexandrovich said something which Dolly could not catch in the noise of the moving carriages. "I shall come round tomorrow," Stepan Arkadyevitch shouted to him. Alexey Alexandrovich got into his carriage, and buried himself in it so as neither to see nor be seen. "Queer fish," said Stepan Arkadyevitch to his wife, and glancing at his watch, he made a motion of his hand before his face, indicating a caress to his wife and children, and walked jauntily along the pavement. "Stiva! Stiva!" Dolly called, reddening. He turned round. "I must get coats, you know, for Grisha and Tanya." "Give me the money." "Never mind, you tell them I'll pay the bill." And he vanished, nodding genially to an acquaintance who drove by. Chapter 7. The next day was Sunday. Stepan Arkadyevitch went to the Grand Theatre to a rehearsal of the ballet, and gave Masha Chibisova, a pretty dancing girl whom he had just taken under his protection, the coral necklace he had promised her the evening before, and behind the scenes in the dim daylight of the theatre, managed to kiss her pretty little face, radiant over her present. Besides the gift of the necklace, he wanted to arrange with her about meeting after the ballet. After explaining that he could not come at the beginning of the ballet, He promised he would come for the last act and take her to supper. From the theater Stepan Arkadyevitch drove to Ochotny Row, selected himself the fish and asparagus for dinner, and by 12 o'clock was at Dassault's, where he had to see 3 people, luckily all staying at the same hotel: Levin, who had recently come back from abroad and was staying there, the new head of his department, who had just been promoted to that position, and had come on a tour of revision to Moscow, and his brother-in-law, Karenin, whom he must see, so as to be sure of bringing him to dinner. Stepan Arkadyevitch liked dining, but still better he liked to give a dinner, small, but very choice, both as regards the food and drink and as regards the selection of guests. He particularly liked the program of that day's dinner. There would be fresh perch, asparagus, and la pièce de résistance first rate, but quite plain, roast beef, and wines to suit, so much for the eating and drinking. Kitty and Levin would be of the party, and that this might not be obtrusively evident, there would be a girl cousin too, and young Sherbatsky, and la pièce de résistance among the guests Sergei Koznishev and Alexei Alexandrovich. Sergei Ivanovich was a Moscow man, and a philosopher, Alexei Alexandrovich a Petersburger, and a practical politician. He was asking, too, the well-known eccentric enthusiast, Pestov, a liberal, a great talker, a musician, an historian, and the most delightfully youthful person of 50, who would be a sauce or garnish for Koznishev and Karenin. He would provoke them and set them off. The second installment for The Forest had been received from the merchant and was not yet exhausted. Dolly had been very amiable and good-humored of late, and the idea of the dinner pleased Stepan Arkadyevitch from every point of view. He was in the most light-hearted mood. There were 2 circumstances a little unpleasant, but these 2 circumstances were drowned in the sea of good-humored gaiety which flooded the soul of Stepan Arkadyevitch. These 2 circumstances were, first, that on meeting Alexei Alexandrovich the day before in the street he had noticed that he was cold and reserved with him, and putting the expression of Alexei Alexandrovich's face and the fact that he had not come to see them or let them know of his arrival with the rumors he had heard about Anna and Vronsky, Stepan Arkadyevitch guessed that something was wrong between the husband and wife. That was one disagreeable thing. The other slightly disagreeable fact was that the new head of his department, like all new heads, had the reputation already of a terrible person, who got up at 6 o'clock in the morning, worked like a horse, and insisted on his subordinates working in the same way. Moreover, this new head had the further reputation of being a bear in his manners, and was, according to all reports, a man of a class in all respects the opposite of that to which his predecessor had belonged, and to which Stepan Arkadyevitch had hitherto belonged himself. On the previous day Stepan Arkadyevitch had appeared at the office in a uniform, and the new chief had been very affable and had talked to him as to an acquaintance. Consequently Stepan Arkadyevitch deemed it his duty to call upon him in his non-official dress. The thought that the new chief might not tender him a warm reception was the other unpleasant thing. But Stepan Arkadyevitch instinctively felt that everything would come round all right. They're all people, all men, like us poor sinners, why be nasty and quarrelsome? He thought as he went into the hotel. Good day, Vasily, he said, walking into the corridor with his hat cocked on one side, and addressing a footman he knew. Why, you've let your whiskers grow. Levin, number 7, eh? Take me up, please. And find out whether Count Anichkin, this was the new head, is receiving. Yes, sir, Vasily responded, smiling. You've not been to see us for a long while. I was here yesterday, but at the other entrance. Is this number 7? Levin was standing with a peasant from Tver in the middle of the room, measuring a fresh bearskin, when Stepan Arkadyevitch went in. What? You killed him? Cried Stepan Arkadyevitch. Well done. She-bear? How are you, Arhip? He shook hands with the peasant and sat down on the edge of a chair, without taking off his coat and hat. Come, take off your coat and stay a little, said Levin, taking his hat.